time you took yourself to the spa? When was the last time you did the small things you did for yourself? When was the last time you sat down and said, hey, I'm proud of you? When was the last time you just had that time to yourself? Self love is all about you. It's all about you making sure that you take care of you and you come first. Because if you don't take care of you, how are you going to take care of everybody else? Over to you, Coach Joy.
Very, very true. Love starts with yourself.
Mhm.
And I could add on what you said by saying, with appreciating yourself, you get to appreciate others more. But what are ways you can appreciate yourself differently?
Mhm.
Support yourself physically, those are like physical self-care. There is psychological, there is spiritual. We always forget the spiritual part, because every time we connect ourselves with God, or some people who believe in all the different things that they believe in, you always feel yourself.
Mhm.
Meditation. So I want to start by saying, what does self-love mean to you? It can mean a lot of things. It
Mhm.
can mean talking to about yourself good, like talking love about yourself, never using the hate words, because that also goes to self-talk. Always talking love about yourself. I love my new hair. I love myself. I love being around people. And when you don't feel like being around people, don't be, you know. Then the other
Mhm.
thing is prioritizing yourself. Loving yourself. Self-love can mean prioritizing yourself, putting yourself first.
Mhm.
Self-love can also be giving yourself a break from self-judgment and trusting yourself. We do a lot of self-judgment, and we forget every time we judge ourselves, we are putting ourselves down, which means we are going to put also others down.
Yeah.
Then the other one is being true and nice to yourself. Self-love is being true to yourself, loving yourself. That even when someone says you do something you're not comfortable with, you're confident enough to tell them, no, I'm not okay with that. That doesn't align well with who I am. Then setting healthy boundaries for yourself. Do you want to live a healthy lifestyle? Because the only way we can live or longevity or long life is by eating and living healthy.
Yeah.
Then the other thing is forgiving yourself when you aren't being true or nice to yourself. Forgiveness is one of those things that are very important when you are doing self-love. And
Mhm.
self-love is forever, because it's self, it's you.
True.
Back to you for the first point, Coach Jay.
You've mentioned a lot of things where I'm going to be building on, and I'll start with one of them, which is about identifying your values. Who are you? What do you represent? What do you stand for? Because many times we allow other people to, use us to quench their thirst. We allow other people to drag us as they're doing things. Because when I come in and say, Coach Joy, let's go, you'll say, yes, let's go. But you don't even know where we are going, and then when we get there, you start saying, I didn't even want to come here. Why did I even come? Why did I follow culture? Why did I do this? Because you don't know what you stand for. If I ask you right now, what do you stand for? What are your top three values? You need to have them on the top of your fingers, because once you have your values, something that I've realized over the past couple of months, once I identified my values, whenever I'm doing something, the values, they're the pillars that direct what I'm doing. If I'm about to lie to somebody, I remind myself, Jane, one of your values is integrity. I will not lie. I will just have to come up forthright and tell this person, okay, this is what is on the ground, because I don't want to cheat myself and go against my values. So you do come first. And once you know what you stand for, you start telling yourself, or you start knowing that Coach Joy's opinion of me does not matter. What matters is, what do I stand for? If I said no to her and she got mad, it's because of what I am it's because of my values, it's because of Jane. Who is Jane and what does Jane stand for? So self-love number one is just by identifying your values. And once you identify your values, a lot of things fall in place. A lot of things, a lot of the things that stress you, you start cutting them off, because you form the boundaries, you form the at home we normally have the fences. Mostly in Africa, there are fences. Why do we have fences? because we are setting the boundaries. And when you have your values, you start setting the boundaries by saying, like, no, you want us to do this, but that goes against what I stand for. So, no, I cannot do this. And life goes on. And that's a way of you loving yourself by protecting yourself. Over to you.
Yeah, that is very true. And you know what happens? The environment we grew in back home, and I'm not seeing much of it here though,
Yeah.
is like you say, the fences. Some of
Mm-hmm.
them are even longer, like as if you're in prison. You too, it's a home. And sometimes when we grow up, we start feeling like I was caged, until you start understanding what that meant, what the boundaries your parents had put around your home meant, you know? When you start knowing the reason why, then you start understanding and being grateful for it. Otherwise, that was an amazing point.
Mm-hmm.
Um, how and why practice self-love? So we should practice self love because it motivates us to make healthy choices. Healthy
Mm-hmm.
choices in so many different ways. For example, like we talked about the eating, healthy, like exercising, and that is Coach Jay's thing. She loves to exercise and she
Yeah.
keeps it 100%. Then there are lots of other things you can do self love for yourself. But why? Because it nourishes you to give more, to be more of who you are. And my first point on why we should practice self love is becoming mindful. When you
Mm-hmm.
practice self love, you become mindful of who you are. When you become mindful of who you are, it helps you to think, feel, and know what exactly you need. In most cases, we just want. I want. But when you get to understand the difference between want and need, then you're becoming mindful of yourself. So that even in situations where you feel like, I really want this, you remind yourself, do I need it though? You
Mm-hmm.
know? And then the other two is the like and the love. You ask yourself, do I really love it? Or I just like it? So you become mindful and you start appreciating the things that you would need in your life other than just wanting. Because it can be two ways. You can need it and want it. But if you just want it and you don't need it, then it shouldn't stress you. And a lot of the
Yeah.
times we stress ourselves with things we want other than the things we'd actually need. So, my first point will be becoming mindful. When you become mindful of the things that you want and how you feel about things and how you think about things, it becomes easier for you to actually give that love also away to others. Back to you, Coach Jay.
I'll just build on what you have said about being mindful, and I'll couple it up with my second point, which is becoming realistic, managing stress. And what do I mean by that? I cannot emphasize enough how essential it is for us to accept that not everything will go as planned. Not everything is in our control. Not everything will go like, if I plan my day to go this way, there will be hiccups along the way. There will be things, there will be bumps. Like if you go on a road, sometimes you're driving smoothly and then boom, you feel a pothole. Why did it come from? Did you anticipate for it to be there? No. Because things will not always go as planned, and accepting that allows us to know our limits, again about our boundaries. It allows us to know our boundaries. It allows us to know when to stop, because most of the time we start stressing, we start getting burnouts because of things that are beyond us. And I know I've emphasized a lot about stress management. You ask yourself a simple technique: is it in my control? Yes. How, what can I do about it? Is it in my control? No. Okay. Is there anything I can do about it? No. That's it. It's done. Whatever comes, whatever the consequences, there's nothing else you can do about it. But most of the time we find ourselves you know stressing or getting burnt on over things that we cannot deal with. For example, let's say right now we are on live. I was supposed to go on live with you, and then let's say, for example, there's power shortage and something like that. Why should I be stressed over that? The best I can do is to give you a call and let you know what is happening, because I cannot control that. It is beyond me. I don't control the light, I don't control the electricity. But why should I stress over that? So these are things that, if we pay attention, we will realize that stress or that burnout that you normally experience is number one enemy of self care. Because self care is all about taking care of you. You're using that energy to fight things that don't even matter, instead of using that time to spend time with loved ones, instead of using that time to, to go to the mall or to do something to pamper yourself, using that time to read a good book, reading that, using that time to do things that matter the most to you. So when you become realistic, or if you become mindful, as Coach Joy has said, you learn how to manage stress. And in exchange, you use that time to radiate things. You use that time to feel warm. You use that time to feel happy, instead of constantly having that gloomy face. When everybody is laughing, you're just there, your mind is all over the place. You use that time to love yourself. Over to you.
So my next point is going to be making room for healthy habits.
Mhm,
Most cases, when we concentrate on others, I'll actually use that, when we concentrate on other people loving us, we
mhm,
forget to make room for healthy habits. All I want is Coach J. Does Coach J love me? I have to do this for Coach J. I have to make sure Coach J is doing this. If Coach J doesn't ask me to go exercise, I'm not going to exercise. Duh. If she doesn't, that means she's not also exercising. Not knowing, she may not ask you, but she's doing it. So, what am I trying to say? Making room for healthy habits should be about you. They should start with you. You tell
mhm,
yourself, I'm waking up at 6 a.m., I'm going to exercise. Whether you're going to exercise with Joyce Lloyd, whether you're going to exercise with Coach Joe, whether you exercise with your husband or a friend, if they tell you, I'm not going to make it, what are you going to do about it? Nothing. So when you make room for healthy habits and you make them part of you, you will not have to need someone else or to prove to someone else that you are doing it. You do it for you, which in return nourishes you, mirrors who you are, and makes you better at thinking, because every time you have healthy habits, you start thinking more, you start doing more, you start
mhm.
becoming who you are supposed to be. That is one of the things that I will always preach: living purposefully. When you live purposefully, you will always make things about you before you make them about others, or before others make them about you. So that was my next point. Back to you, Coach.
Just to build up on what you've said, we live in an era where social media is dictating how we are living our lives. We live in an era where we forget about our values, we forget about what we stand for, and we start looking at what it costs joy doing. Nobody will ever post their failures online. Not
That is true.
nobody. Nobody will ever post that photo of how they struggled, of how they did, nobody will ever do that. People only post their achievements. And you see, we want what other people have, and we start burning out. We want the shortcuts. Let's just call them shortcuts. Somebody posts, oh, I made $50,000 in 1 week. You don't know what this person went through to make that money. All you want to know is, okay, they're doing this. I want to do this. You have no idea the investment of time, the investment of, money and all that. So in the end, when you try this shortcut, burnout, I go back to my point, burnout comes. You start getting stressed. By the time you realize what you're up to, you've lost a day, you've lost a week, you've lost a month, feeling sorry for yourself. So my next point is, let go and forgive yourself. How many times do we carry things on our shoulders that don't even matter? Life is all about learning as we move on. We do things that don't end up with the results that we want. And it's up to us to decide either we want to live with those things or continue to carry them in our shoulders. So the weight, once you allow these things to be here, the weight keeps building up. It's like you're doing construction. So the more you continue adding things, they continue building up. Your shoulders start sinking, you start becoming heavy. Imagine if you have a glass of water and you start putting in ink. The more you put drops, the more that water is going to turn color. And it's the same thing. The more we continue to put things on our shoulders, the more we continue to do this, what happens? We don't create space for new things. We don't create space for us to learn. We don't create space for us to, to love ourselves. And the Bible says, I am a Christian. The Bible says we should forgive others 70 times, 7 times a day. If you have that luxury of forgiving other people, why are you not forgiving yourself? Charity begins at home. That is what I've always been told. Charity begins at home. So while I'm forgiving Coach Joy, why am I not forgiving myself? Because if I'm forgiving Coach Joy and I'm not forgiving myself, it means I'm not being true. It means I'm not being authentic to myself. I'm not loving myself enough. And we are in a group right now called Mindset Shift CEOs. We always say, I'm a company, you are a company. You're in charge of that company. When we go to organizations, people get fired now and then. Why? You didn't live according to the values of the organization. So it's the same thing I want to say now. If you feel like a certain person does not live according to your value, you have the power to fire somebody in your life. You have that capability to do that. Why should you let keep clinging to something that is not adding you value? Because the more you cling to that toxicity, what happens? You don't have room for self-love. All the time you're in that gloomy mood, all the time you're in that situation where you don't even have time for yourself. So the moment you decide to let go of things that don't add value to you, the moment you decide to forgive yourself, to love yourself more, things start changing in your life. Over to you.
All right, practicing good self-care. So I'm a very, very strong believer that every week I have to do something for me. It
Oh.
can be taking myself for lunch. It can just be passing by the ice cream parlor and getting myself an ice cream. It can just be even just walking into the shop, Bakala shop, like we call them here, or back home, the small shops, and just getting myself a lollipop. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, I don't take self-care for granted. The other one, which is doesn't even require money, it can just be walking into the park, especially the ones that are free, just
Mm-hmm.
sitting and meditating, just me time. When you
Mm-hmm.
hear the word self-care, it is not being selfish, you know, it's
Mm-hmm.
just you taking good care of yourself so that when you take good care of yourself, you're able to take good care of others, especially people you live with. Because African community, we always have people we live with. Or even if we don't live with them, there are people that are with us, either
Yeah.
in spirit, they're back home. So when we are able to love ourselves, we are able to love them even when they give us all the baggage that they give us, because that is life. You know, people have baggage and they want to put it on others. You
Yeah.
don't forget who you are, you know? So practicing self-love is a way for you to love yourself with the basic needs, a few basic needs. You don't need too much. It can also be exercising. It can be sleep, good sleep. Personally, if I don't have good sleep, I can be the worst to deal with. I can be grumpy. I can be, I can be lots of things, and I know it happens for lots of people. There are some people just cleaning their house can be self-love. For me, that is another way of self-love. Just knowing that I'm sitting in a nice, clean house. It's self-care for me. Other people, it's intimacy, and we don't take this for a joke, you know? Just having someone cuddle them, just having getting a hug, it's a lot of things. Social
Mm-hmm.
interaction, meeting friends, you
Mm-hmm.
know. Coach J may be a drive away, but if my self love means I want to see Coach J to feel better, to make me feel like like loving myself, not her loving me, but loving myself, I'm going
Mm-hmm.
to let her know. And if she's free, I'm going to drive to her. You get. So self care is a lot of things, but you have to practice it in the smallest way possible because it's the only way you can nourish and live better, health wise, psychological wise,
All
spiritual
right.
wise, a lot of different ways. So, ways to practice self care is by actually practicing good self care. Back to you, Coach Shen.
That's a very valid point. I hope you'll drive soon to see me. Okay.
Joke on me.
Okay. The next point is how to practice self love is on what we feed our minds. I am a mindset coach and I cannot emphasize in much on what we feed our minds. Our mind is like the stomach. Whatever food you eat, the stomach will digest. Whatever you feed your mind, it's going to digest. What do you watch? What do you read? What do you talk with the people around you? Because those are the things that get digested by your mind. I'll use an example of a lake. A lake did not just start like that. It started with a drop of water. It became a pond. It grew. It became a lake, and again it became a sea. So imagine every day you're feeding your mind with negativity. Every day you're giving your mind, these modules, just small modules of things that don't even add value to you. Eventually they become a whole lake in your mind, and then they start influencing how you're leading your life. You see somebody is always angry. Why are you always angry? It's because of the things you're feeding your mind. Even the books we read, sometimes they shape the direction we are taking. The movies we watch, the people we associate with, all these things, they become like that, like drop by drop it starts growing. So when you give positivity, we develop a growth mindset, a mindset that guides us towards things that make us happy, a mindset that protects us, from all the toxicity such as regret. Because if I have this mindset of growth, this mindset of resilience, this mindset of, I'm learning every day, there's no room for failure, I will not have room for regret. But if I have the negative mindset, I will be like, why didn't I do that? And then I waste another 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, which I will have used to go for a walk or maybe do something, something that matters most to me. Over to you.
Yeah, that is very true. Taking action based
Mhm.
on our needs. I could actually put it to that because every time we stay focused on what we need, it helps us do what? To automatically get out of those behaviors that
Uh-huh.
could get us into trouble or divert us from exactly what we have to be. That's
Mm.
our wonderful point because everything is mindset. And the thing is, people don't understand that. But I hope when you are watching this video and you're not part of the Mindset Shift CEOs, you can actually join our group. It's growing slowly by slowly because everything starts like a drop, like Coach just said. It starts as a drop. I think the best way is explaining with a glass of water and ink, like you said, Coach J. Drop of ink, it's a little bit blue if it's blue color. When you add, it expands, it keeps growing. Before you know it, the water is not colorless anymore. It's actually blue, dark blue. So I'm going to be closing with just reading something and saying, practicing self-love starts by being kind, patient. I'll repeat it again. Practicing self-love. You cannot practice love if you don't start with these things. You have to
Mhm.
start by being kind to yourself, being patient with yourself. We are not perfect. Some of us want to be perfect. You can never be perfect. Those ones who call themselves perfectionists, they are not. Yeah, we still see holes through them. So you can never be perfect.
Mm.
So be kind to yourself, be patient with yourself, be gentle with yourself, compassionate to yourself. The other way would be with someone else that you care about. You can do all these things with someone else you care about. Someone can be your husband, can be your best friend, your friend,
Mm.
your partner in crime, like we call them. It can be even your family member. But
Mm.
most of all, these things have to start with you. The moment you give them to yourself, the moment you take good care of yourself, you're compassionate about yourself, you're going to be compassionate about others. It is
Mm.
something I keep telling my husband and he tells me, I love you, you love me, we love each other. That is how it's supposed to be. I care about you, you care about me, we care about each other. What you give is what you get.
Very
When
true.
you give negative vibes, you're definitely going to get negative vibes. When you give positivity, you are going to get positivity. Coach J, I have met people, and at least most of the people I've met know that I don't love negative energy. Keep it somewhere else. Come to me if you want to feel lifted up. Come to me if you want to feel better about yourself. I think that's what made me a self-confidence coach, to help people lift them up. you know? So I would like to say, if you need help, like you're out there, I don't know you, you don't know me, we can get to know each other through Mindset Shift CEO, because there we are all CEO of our lives, which means we can be better than what we are today. Back to you, Coach Jay.
Very true. You've mentioned something about partner in crime, and Right now, I would like to say again the words we use they matter a lot. And instead of saying partner in crime, we can always say partner in happiness. It
Oh my
sounds
God, no, partner in crime. Let me tell you my definition of partner in crime, babe. My partner in crime is someone who never judges you, you know?
mhm,
Because
mhm,
let me tell you, I could say something or I could do something and
uh-huh,
you judge me. You get. But when
mhm,
you have someone you call partner in crime, at least that's the definition we have with my partner in crime, and I'll not take that back is we never judge each other. Even when I do something that could make anyone judge me, that
mm.
person can't judge me and I can't judge them. So that's why we call each other that, because there is no room for judgment ever, and it has never happened at least. So for me, that definition of partner in crime is that, not the other one, the criminal way. No, we made up our own word just
Okay,
to
rest in
clarify.
peace. Okay, so my final point is learn continuously. How to practice self love, learn continuously. Because when we choose to learn and relearn what we already know, we are giving ourselves the chance to learn and something new. We are giving ourselves the chance to evolve. Because the more you evolve, the more you grow, the more your mindset becomes better. You're practicing self love. When the world is moving forward, remember the world will not stop for you. The world is moving forward. How do you prevent yourself from feeling sorry about something? How do you prevent yourself from saying, I wish I knew? This is all by learning and relearning. Don't be too tough on yourself. Because the knowledge I had in 2010, right now it doesn't help. Like even if
Yeah.
it's healthy, it's overdue. Something new has come up. Things are evolving. Like today somebody asked for my profile for something else, and the profile I sent 3 years ago about myself is different from my profile of today. And he was like, this is change. I told him, yes, I am growing, because the person I was 3 years ago is different from the person I am right now. 3 years ago I was a student. I am not a student right now. So I have grown because I'm learning and relearning everything that I know. And that to me is self love. So
But you're still a student of life.
I am a student of life, but by that time I was doing my MBA. So I was a student. So my final words will be self-love comes from a mindset of abundance. And I remember when we were in Elaine in the Empower, Impact, Transform event, Coach Tina mentioned something about mindset of abundance and mindset of lack. And that thing, it came to heart because I came to realize how we look at life. It's either we look at it with abundance or we look at it, with lack or greed or whatever that comes on that side. I don't even want to know. But self care comes from a mindset of abundance, because once you learn how to take care of yourself, you're able to take care of everybody about you. Coach Joy, if you're not able to take care of yourself properly, how are you able to take care of your husband, your children, or anybody around you? You will not be able to do that. So self care comes from a mindset of abundance, which is the best mindset. Imagine if you have we always say, I want abundance of money, abundance of this, abundance of that. How about abundance of self love? Love yourself. So that brings us to the end of our live this week. It's the last day of November. We are entering the festive season. And I think most people have seen the poster going around. I'm having an event tomorrow on tips on how to make 2023 the best year yet. Maybe 2022 was a good year, but what if we make 2023 the best year yet? I'm excited. I'm going to be sharing powerful wisdom, and I hope I'll see most everybody there. Other than that, we'll see everyone next week. If you're going to be watching the replay, make sure to leave a comment. If you have a question, always reach out to us. If you'd like to work with either of us, we are a message away, and you can always organize for the virtual coffee date. We get to know each other. If you'd like us to collaborate on events or anything, we are happy to have that conversation. So, other than that, thank you so much, Coach Joy. I will be seeing you next week.
Thank you so much too. And remember to practice self-love abundantly.
Yes.
All right, I'm out.